Hey guys, so this week or over the next couple of weeks, we're looking at impacts of technology on the outdoors. So you would have looked at this in Unit 1. Sorry, it's coming up. So you would have looked at this in Unit 1. Previously though, you would have looked at how the technologies affect your individual experience. So for example, with the compass, the people that would have been using this, they'd have to have a lot more knowledge of how to use the compass effectively on the ground. Whereas with the GPS, you can kind of just point and shoot and you know where you are. And things along with technology, things have changed a lot in clothing and everything like that. So if you look closely here, you've got the women here are probably wearing wool, they've got canvas bags, some interesting hiking shoes, probably things that we wouldn't be wearing today. Potentially we'd still be wearing those natural fibers, but as technology has changed, we've now got Gore-Tex jackets and polar fleece, as Alex is demonstrating here. And so is Wade, but I think Wade's got his Gore-Tex on. So you can see the differences. You can even see here with the alloy poles. So these are potentially things that wouldn't have existed when people first started hiking. So they'd be using sticks and things that they find. Tends to be a lot different construction using steel and heavier weight items. So now we can pack in more than we used to be able to. So it's also extending to areas, so it's all sorts of gear that are affecting, but what we're specifically looking at is how these affect the environment, not how they affect us and our experience. So for example, if we're looking at stoves, so these are 3 different types of ways to cook in the outdoors. So you've got your open fire, which is sort of the most traditional method. Often these are found in grates and things in parks to avoid fire scars. So fire scars are a really big environmental impact of having your own fire. So a way that they've tried to combat that in a lot of national parks, they'll have stove use only. And you've got your gas-powered stoves. They can come with, you can get multi-fuel stoves as well, which are shellite and kerosene. You can use anything in them, and they're a little bit more sustainable in the sense that you don't then have to get rid of this little gas canister, which can be quite hard to get rid of. But it's still using fuels, so fossil fuels. Whereas this one is a sort of combination of the two. So just becoming really popular now. It's a similar lightweight style that stops the fire scar happening, but you can use smaller pieces of wood instead of gas. So potentially more sustainable practice, but still not allowed in a lot of parks because you can't collect firewood, because that will then impact the environment again. So there's 2 different sorts of impacts, or ways the environment can be impacted. So there's direct impacts. So that's the direct impact caused by the technology or the action. So when the technology is being used. So if we're looking at these, so snow machines, making the snow, putting it on the, when the snow is coming out onto the, what are they called? The runs. And then there's things like with forward drives and the mountain bikes and things, degradation of the track and erosion. Skiing and snowboarding, if you go off track, off-piste on the snow, can be affecting the delicate ecosystems up there. Indirect impacts. So these impacts are ones that happen due to the technology being made or transported or installed, all of these things. So when it's being used, so a lot of clothing and stuff, everything has to be manufactured and transported. So you're using you're using a lot of fossil fuels, you're using in multiple stages of the process. Okay. So let's take a closer look at something else again that will highlight this a little bit more. So looking at snow cannons. So they're those big snow machines that you would have seen up at Baw Baw. We would have walked past them. Pretty much the only reason Baw Baw has snow anymore. Although there was some good snow while we were up there. But some of the direct impacts, so looking at the water that's being used, because the machines are being used in a dry time, even though it's winter and there's a lot of rain, there's often not a lot of moisture in the air to create snow. Natural snow falls when there's enough water, but with the snow machines, they can create it at any time. So often there's a lot of, looking over at indirect impacts, there's a lot of water storage and transportation. You probably can't see that very well because I haven't figured out how to make my little video thing smaller yet, but I will. But this says transported, right? Okay, take 3. So here we're also looking at snow machines can extend the snow season. So it means that the people are up there longer. The alpine region doesn't get a chance to regenerate, recuperate, and sort of have that off season. That's also not happening a lot because of a lot of areas with tourism. So you're getting constant use year round. And a lot of that money, unfortunately, isn't going back into, some of it is, but not all of it is going back into regenerating that ecosystem. Another interesting one, man-made snow is waterproof, so it actually compacts and increases erosion because it's stronger and it's a quicker process than it would be with natural water flow and natural snow flow. So yeah, there's a few things. As I said, direct and indirect, they can. So indirect is a deferred impact from the manufacturing process, most likely, or transportation. Direct impacts are directly impacts on the environment from the technology. So during the week, or over the next 2 weeks, we're going to do a few different things. We're going to look at Patagonia's footprint chronicles. So they track a lot of the manufacturing and transportation of their items. So we're going to have a look and explore through their website and see how they're doing things. We're going to look at those old gear lists that I got you to make. Remember those? So either an item from that gear list, one of your own items if you didn't make the gear list, or you weren't there, and then we're going to answer these questions and create something similar to the Patagonia footprint chronicle. We're going to explore the life of a piece of our own gear, and then we're going to look at another research task. So looking into environmental technologies that are current at the moment. So looking at this website, Live Science, and these old emerging technologies. So these were from 2007, so 10 years old, and we're going to look at how they've been implemented and whether they're effective. Cool. Thanks, guys.